480, page number 10th maxim, continue on. The feeling of humility, which may as well be expressed as a state of supplicancy, covers within it the condition of innocence. So these three go together. The condition of feeling of humility, state of supplicancy, and the condition of innocence. It's interesting that he's using three words for three different things. He's saying feeling of humility, condition of innocence, state of supplicancy. So that's a very interesting point to remember. So please underline that. The feeling of humility, because the feeling of humility is something that starts developing from the fourth point onwards up to the 12th point. So it gradually evolves. As the feeling of humility evolves, with the ego getting refined, you establish yourself in the state of supplicancy. The state of supplicancy is something related to the state of surrender, and that starts at the eighth point. Then, as we go further, as we take these two things together, humility and supplicancy, then as we go further, we go on towards the condition of innocence. One who attains it has, in a way, attained all, though apparently it may not seem to be so. In that case, the mistake no longer remains a mistake, and since it has been washed off completely. Now, why has it been washed off completely? Can anyone say? We discussed it last time. Why has it been washed off completely? Last class I discussed ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ.
Repentance,
Sorry?
repentance because of
By the effect of the strong push applied by the force of will, they get transferred into repentance. Repentance is nothing but a jerk to the thought waves, which creates a certain state of vacuum. ಸರಿನಾ? ಸೊ ವಿಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಪುಷ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಜರ್ಕ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ಥಾಟ್ ವೇವ್ಸ್ಗೆ ರಿಪೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ರಿಪೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆದಾಗ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಯೂಮ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಆ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಯೂಮ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ದ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಯೂಮ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್, ದಟ್ ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರ ಆರ್ the guilt filled samskara could have washed off completely. Otherwise, the vacuum is not created. That space is created, the vacuum is created only when that push is given from the willpower to the thought wave. Okay? And last time we discussed about the thought wave and its relationship with the samskara. Figure ಬರ ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ವಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, we wrote that figure, Bharat. You remember that? ಹಿಂಗೆ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಬರೋದಲ್ಲ. The tip is the thought, this is the thought wave, this is the samskara. You remember? So that is what is happening now. In that case, in the sense that when somebody is established in the condition of innocence, the mistake no longer remains a mistake, since it has been washed off completely. The next phase of, now that is the first phase of devotion, where the mistake has been washed off. The next phase of devotion now comes in, which cautions him against the repetition of the wrong. So devotion has two aspects to it. One is clearing of the past samskaras, where the mistakes have been committed. And second part is where it does not, the fact that you are devoted to the cause, to the master, will not allow you to make the mistake again. The next phase of devotion now comes in, where which cautions him against the repetition of the wrong. It appears in the form of repeated prayers to the great master for granting him a state of contentment to serve as a safeguard against repetition. So now he's talking about a second function of contentment. You remember, contentment is the state or the condition that we develop in the first point, which guards against excessive desires. Desires versus contentment in the first point. Okay. Now that is one function of the contentment. It guards against the desires. Now Babaji is talking about the same contentment at a higher level also guards against us making mistakes. So when the contentment becomes stronger, we actually refrain from making mistakes in life. As we have entered the sphere in the capacity of a supplicant, it becomes incumbent upon us to abide by the rules of the duty, avoiding everything that is forbidden by the laws of nature. Now the question comes, Mistakes means what? What are mistakes? What are not mistakes? Anything that you do in tune with nature are not mistakes. Anything that you do against the laws of nature is a mistake. Now that you have entered into that state of supplicancy, the surrender, with the state of surrender, what happens? The master's energy continuously flows towards you. Not only it flows towards you, it keeps a guard on the kind of things that you are thinking or desiring. It checks it to a certain extent. When that check is actually maintained by the master, our mind will not go because the master is already in tune with nature at the highest level. So when master is in tune with nature, when his energy starts flowing towards you, you also start aligning with the laws of nature automatically. In other words, when the mind goes in the opposite direction of having desires against the laws of nature, the mind, the master's energy will actually caution you. The heart will caution you. Okay, that is exactly how we actually get enabled to refrain from doing mistakes. So it's not a conscious thing that we are doing. It is something happening at a deep level. Consciously, we cannot do it. But in a way, the fact that by the time we come to eighth point in a state of supplicancy, the supplicancy state can develop from the first point itself, but it actually starts manifesting more and more in the mind region. As and when the state of supplicancy manifests more and more in the mind region, the state of expansion of the consciousness would have taken place to that extent. You remember, from the first point onwards, if you come to the third point, to that extent the consciousness is expanded. From the third point onto the sixth point, again the consciousness is expanded. Now, when the state of supplicancy expands, simultaneously, what we are also talking about is that the consciousness is also expanding, it's now becoming more subtle. When the consciousness expands and it becomes more subtle, you are more and more in alignment with the master. That's what enables the master's energy to flow towards you and your ability to observe it. If the consciousness is restricted, then even if the master's energy flow towards you, there's no space for it to come in. When there is an expansion of consciousness, you also become subtle. The more you become subtle, the more nearer you are to the subtleness of the master. To that extent, your ability to absorb the waves coming from the master also becomes better. That, in a way, also helps you in avoiding making mistakes. So remember that it's not a conscious mind that is mm, avoiding making mistakes. This is something occurring at a deep level because of our resonance with the master that we tend to decrease making mistakes. That's what happens. Does it make sense? How all these things are interrelated. So as we have entered in the sphere of the capacity of a supplicant, it becomes incumbent upon us to abide by the laws of the rules of duty, avoiding everything that is forbidden by the laws of nature. This can be accomplished when one shortens to the greatest possible limit the distance between oneself and master. That's what I just explained now. The more subtler we are, the more nearer to the master we are. That's all it is. Hence, the best method for that would be to maintain in our thought a constant feeling of his presence. So now he's talking about the utility of constant remembrance. So constant remembrance is not about feeling just the master, thinking about the master. It's about feeling his presence in your heart all the time, whatever activity you are doing. It is also considered to be better to do this at bedtime because one is free from all the entanglement and the only point in one's view is that of rest and repose. So at the time of going to bed, we are only thinking about taking rest and repose. At that time, this is the best thing to do. In other words, one finds himself in a comparatively free state, free from the bombardment of the desires of the waking state. Now the mind is now aligned towards going and taking rest. So you are not bombarded in the context of the thoughts relating to the desires. This freedom may also be interpreted as nature's state of contentment. So that bedtime So if somebody were to ask you in a 24-hour cycle, when is that nature is going to create that state of contentment, the answer is bedtime. It's not that you have actually let go of all the desires. It is just that at that time, the intensity of the hold of the intensity of the desires is actually come down. So it's a naturally given state of contentment. Of course, it is temporary. It's not permanent. It is temporary. It's a natural cycle. So that state of contentment is given just before we go to bed. And that's the reason why we have to pray at bedtime. Thus, in a way, we acquire conformity with at least one of the aspects of nature. So the thing with the 10 maxims is that each of the maxim will help you to get in conformity with one aspect of the nature. That's all. All the 10 maxims are for that reason only. Each maxim will actually help you to get in conformity with different aspects of nature and beyond. That's the point of doing the practicing the 10 maxims. So when you are in that state of contentment, contentment again is one aspect of nature. You are in one conformity with at least one aspect of the nature at the bedtime. This is the reason why bedtime prayer is more effective and actions done accordingly are all well adjusted. We must therefore derive the greatest benefit from time and take up the work suited for the hour. And interestingly, Babuji also has written Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Like we have at the end of every mantra. In all the all Veda mantras end with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So Babuji has also used it. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any questions we can take. So he's talked about why bedtime, because that's the state of contentment given by nature. Then he's talked about three different things: the feeling of humility, the state of supplicancy, and the condition of innocence. Remember, he's using three words: feeling of humility, state of supplicancy, and the condition of innocence. Okay, so there are three different things. Feeling is a different state is a different state, condition is a different state. Don't confuse between these three. So you can say, I'm actually feeling content today. That's a feeling. Or you can say, I'm established in a state of contentment. That means it is sustaining. Okay. Or you can say, I'm established in the condition of contentment. Now, of the three, which is more permanent, it's something for you to work out. Feeling versus condition versus state. Of the three, which is long lasting? The answer
State.
will be, the answer will be that I'm trying to feel which of the three. You said something.
State.
State is the last one. So the first one is the feeling that you get, then you get into the condition, then you get into the state. That's what you're looking at. The state of contentment. Now that is kind of permanently established. Feeling is like temporary, it can come on and off. You can feel during the meditation session, outside the meditation session, but generally it does not last too long. Then in the condition of the contentment is something that lasts longer. It could last for hours together or days together. And it transcends different activities. The different feeling, the difference between the feeling and the content condition is that feeling is temporary, it is more superficial, and it does not transcend too many of our different activities. Condition is something more deeper, more sustaining, and it transcends activities. Now, but you have the awareness of the condition. In other words, you are actually doing intense activity, but you must feel the condition of the peace inside. You might be very active, but the condition of peace inside is felt very vividly. So, under the condition of peace, you are very active. or in spite of the activity, your condition of peace is not disturbed. Now, state is something immutable. At least you can say that the the things that we pass through might have some impact on the condition. Many times we have heard people say that, oh, I lost the condition. I have to do something to maintain the condition. All these things. Now, when you are established in the state, it is not something that you are going to lose. It's like permanent. It is there for you to tap whenever you want. And it's the deepest level in terms of our experience. Okay. So the feeling versus the condition versus the state. And again, other thing that you have to understand in this context, what we read is that different feelings can give rise to different conditions and different states. So it's not necessary that the feeling of humility should have to only give rise to the condition of humility and the state of humility. Not necessary. So this is another important lesson to keep in mind. So the feeling of a particular thing can actually give rise to a condition and a state of a different thing altogether. This is a very important lesson. A kind of feeling can give rise to a different state or different condition. Okay. And see in the next same paragraph, he says it appears in the form of repeated prayers to the master for granting him a state of contentment. The state of contentment is like permanent. So when the state of contentment is permanently established, there is no question of making mistakes. That's why if you look at the 10th maxim, what he says at the start is wrongs committed unintentionally, not wrongs committed intentionally. Now you have come to that phase where there is no question of you committing any wrong intentionally. That is out of the window. You have reached that state where there was a possibility of making mistakes unintentionally. Now, what is happening is with what you are practicing the 10th maxim, that possibility is also taken off. So, when the state of contentment gets established in the heart, making unintentional mistakes also is now taken off the table. That is what happens. Does it make sense where it works? So, he's now talking about the state of contentment. Now, we are talking about contentment as a feeling, starting in the first point. Contentment as a condition, again manifesting in the first point, and gradually becoming more and more intense. For example, when the Vairagya comes in the second point, it actually reinforces the contentment, the condition of contentment. So, as you go higher and higher, you are moving away from the point of desires. So to that extent, the contentment becomes even more deeper. Finally, when you reach a higher state beyond the eighth point, you start getting established in the state of contentment. You don't wish anything that the master does not want you to have. So that is the state of contentment. And it's the state of contentment is a prelude for the state of innocence getting established. It feeds into the state of innocence. Okay. You wanted to ask something, Ganeshan?
I want to ask, how was your trip?
The trip was nice. 3 days we were there. Luckily, it didn't rain too much though. It was drizzling on and off, but it didn't rain too much. It was not too hot also. So we attended the marriage. Then we participated in all the satsangs. But one thing we found it difficult was the music. We were seated in the meditation hall. So that we found because we cannot reduce the or increase the volume of the music. So it's kind of just blasting away to your ears and forcing you to hear. So that was something that we realized. maybe if there is music, we need to find a way of trying to see how we can actually better gel with it. We were, in a way, you can say that we could easily gel with the meditation than with the music. I think that's a fair statement. I think many people felt that they could gel with the meditation than the music. I think some of the music had become repetitive though. Because the same thing was done in one of the previous Bandaras, I think, if I remember, or one of the previous occasions, where the same Bhagavad Gita mantras was recited or sung, and then it also ended with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I remember it. I can't remember exactly when, but it was a repetition of that. So in that way, it was not that a great experience because it was a repetition. Generally, the point of music is that it's always new. Even the same song is actually rendered in a different way. Alap will be different. The Swara Prastara will be different. So everything will be different. That's the great thing about Carnatic music. So even if the same song is sung by in the same raga by the same person, it will be different each time. But that's not what we got to see though. It's almost like a tape recorder playing the same tune, the same mantras in the same alap. So that was a bit different experience. Because normally in music, we tend to experience differently each time. Okay. Otherwise, everything else was okay. Other thing that we actually did was we fasted for nearly 40 hours. So while before we went to Kanha, we had the food. After that, till the Sunday morning, we didn't have anything. Of course, we had a cup of coffee and tea here and there and some buttermilk, but we could manage without any solid food. And that was also good. So most of the people who had come with us also fasted. Apparently, somebody was saying that nearly 2,000 people were fasting. But the crowd was lesser than a normal Bandara. So you were able to kind of get seats and other things much more easily in the main meditation hall itself. So, so this is about the trip. Anything else, Bharat, Gopal Krishna, you want to share? You can share your thoughts, experiences with your big brother Ganeshan.
The one thing I would say is it's a reset for the mind. It's like you come back, you do the same thing, but you don't have that fog. It's completely removed. It's like a proper vacation. We might have other vacations, but nothing like this one. This is completely different. This was my realization.
So
So
now
it's
you can see he is planning for the next vacation.
no, regardless of any vacation I've done, it's not like this one actually. So yeah.
Bharat, ನೀ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀಯ? Only thing I observed the change in Bharat was that he appeared bigger than what I saw him in Hubli. So the fasting also was due for him. So I don't know how long he fasted though. ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೊತ್ತು ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ?
ನಾನು ರಾತ್ರಿ ತಿಂದೆ ಸರ್.
ರಾತ್ರಿ ರಾತ್ರಿ ತಿಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಹೋಗಿ? ಓಹ್ ಹೌದಾ? Okay. There are quite a few people who meditated, who I think who fasted till the night. So they allowed that 24-hour cycle, and in the night I think they went and had something. So how was it for you people? You're back in Bangalore only, no? Back in Erode and Bangalore.
Yes, we are back in Bangalore.
Yes, sir.
So did Ganeshan feel that the samskaras were being banged on? And Sudha sister feel that the samskaras were getting eroded?
We attended all the satsangs together. Time went on like that.
Good. How about Ganeshan?
Actually, I was not in station. On Friday, I went to Karur Sadasiva Brahmendra uh, temple where we have Nehru by bike. So
By bike?
from there,
Oh,
yeah,
you also like riding bikes then. That's a pretty long way.
yes.
So Gopal Krishna, you have another mate that you can take for a bike.
We already spoke about it.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know the background conversation. I only know about the front end conversation.
It was a different experience. It was good. September, you are going again, right? 26, 27, 28, and 29.
Oh, September we have not decided, not yet. Might be difficult because we might not have the leave. Because for us, Friday and Saturday both are working, no? So
Oh,
it'll be like 2 days leave. This time around, we could take just 1 day leave and then we could go. So I'm not sure about Friday. So in September, we might just attend from here only. We'll see how it goes. But that's the plan.
I'm coming, bro.
You're coming for September, Bandara. Okay, good.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3 days.
Or is it Saturday, Sunday, Monday? But I think it's still 2 days weekend
Okay.
plus one working day. So I think 2 working days, Saturday and Monday. So
Okay.
might be difficult. We'll see. I think most of the trains are already booked.
Yes.
So who knows? Ganeshan might go biking only to Hyderabad. Quite possible.
I'm planning to.
So both of you can go together, or you can take some of your friends also with you. Gopal Krishna. Biking friends. You can take the biking friends to hitchhike in Kanha.
The last trip to Hyderabad, I went by car only. My car registration got over. It is 15 years got over. So I want to
Okay.
renew it. So the owner and vehicle should be there. So I took the
Oh,
car.
so only after that you can drive then.
Yeah.
So good thing to see was many people were actually fasting. Many people that we spoke to, they were all saying that they are fasting. And that was good to see actually.
But
So there's
fasting is
something.
on Janmashtami, you did a fasting.
Janmashtami?
On the day of Janmashtami, you did a fasting.
Yeah. Many people fasted on that day. In fact, there are some letters also in 44 Whispers where Lalaji advises Babaji to fast on Janmashtami day and says that you are only allowed to take milk, glass of milk, 1 or 2 glasses of milk, and not anything else on the Janmashtami day itself. So, so we can define the fasting for next year by making it a milk only fast. You can wear silk clothes and drink only milk. So we have finished the 10 maxims. I don't think there is anything else. So we will go back to the reality at dawn chapter from next time. Is that okay? Or we have just recently finished Sahaj Mark philosophy. We can cover that also from next session tomorrow. One of the this weekdays or next week, I might not be away. I might not be there. So I might be away. So I'll just let you know one day. So I don't know if it's next Monday, then it's okay. But otherwise, if it's some other day, I'll just let you know beforehand. Okay. So which one you people prefer next time?
Philosophy.
Sahajmark philosophy.
Bharat,
Reality. Reality and
Ganeshan,
Yeah, I'll like to go for philosophy, Sahajma philosophy.
Gopal Krishna,
I'm thinking, should I make a tie or so I would vote for Sahajmark philosophy as well.
and any reason for that?
So most of the reality at dawn we are actually covered in this TED magazines also, as well as the previous one. We covered it. It will be like a repetition only. Philosophy is something we need to get in.
In
I
fact,
read
Sahajmark philosophy and reality at dawn, there's at least 30-40% repetitions.
Mm.
So if you read Sahajmark philosophy, you are covering part of reality at dawn. If you read reality at dawn, you are covering part of Sahajmark philosophy. So either way, it's okay. They are very closely related. In fact, many things are kind of verbatim taken from reality at dawn to Sahajmark philosophy. There are many portions like that. It is just taken in verbatim, word to word, taken from here and then pasted here. Only thing is, the context is different, but word to word it is repeated. So either way, if we read Sahajmark philosophy, we'll go faster in reality at dawn. If we read reality at dawn, we go faster in Sahajmark philosophy. So I'm okay with either. Okay, Ganeshan, Bharat, Sahajmark philosophy, we'll start. And then anyway, side by side, you can also look at reality at dawn. We'll cover it together. Because there are many paragraphs which are very similar, same word to word. Okay.